It's really cold outside. Greetings, salutations. And I read all those comments in that Australia video yesterday. Talk about, wow, shocking, saddening, all sorts of awful things. I just don't know what to say after that one, honestly. I do, but there's no freedom of speech online. Well, there are. By the way, for the countless people that have asked me, I do have a channel on BitChute and Odyssey and Rumble, and I have some content to post up there, but I've been so busy I haven't had the chance to put it there. I had also made a few videos for another website, which many of you have seen, so I've never been this busy in my life. This is a 5-point list of what I consider to be the most important things in life, and none of this stuff was ever taught to me in high school or college. And I always knew, literally at an extremely young age, that my teachers were completely full of it. I hung out in the library, and I developed a skill to be able to discern things extremely quickly about whether a book is garbage or not. It's easy to discern. It's kind of like how you could, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but you know, if you see certain things, they're always indicators. We call those earmarks. But I'd like to go with this 5-point list, and this is the 5 points of things that I really and truly wished that I was taught growing up. I learned it myself, but it would have helped me at a younger age if I'd refined these 5 points. And I'd like to do them in no particular order. However, wisdom, of course, should be number one, and I just might as well just mention wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to discern things. However, I have discernment as another point on this list. But without wisdom, we're caught in empirical knowledge, and empirical knowledge is a trap. Whether you're interested in transcendence or not, or whether you even believe in transcendence, you, as I've said before, you can't think your way out of a thinking prison. And that's what existential consciousness is. But wisdom is transcendent, and I don't care if you're interested in any religion or faith. I'm not telling you to be spiritual or interested in metaphysics, but there's a huge difference between episteme, i.e. empirical knowledge, and wisdom. I mean, just a huge, huge difference. Just all the difference in the world. There's a TV character, used to be on an old show called Cheers, called Cliff Clavin. Extremely dumb, a foolish person. A fool, of course, is someone who has no wisdom. He is a walking encyclopedia of useless facts. You know, his life is in disarray. He's a genuine fool. There's a lot of people like that. It has always been the case, and this is really one of the most, even if you're not interested in transcendence, because this is a very important point that I've never in my life heard anybody mention. Somebody might have mentioned it. But the most evil people on this earth have always been highly intelligent fools. Now, to a superficial mind, that seems like an inherent contradiction, like talking about dehydrated water. But a highly intelligent fool is someone that has a lot of knowledge, like, I have a college degree, a PhD, I'm a graduated cum laude from Harvard. Who cares? We're talking about someone that's had their head screwed open and filled with a lot of useless knowledge, and they don't know actually how to process or use it. They're really good at descriptions. Well, this is a piece of selenite. It weighs 3/4 of a... That's a nice description, but that's not an explanation. These people are very famous for descriptions. These are the exact same people that I know, some of them. They're filthy rich. They know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. And one person like that I know, he'll drive for miles and miles and miles to save like 5 cents a gallon on gas. It's like, life is short, you know, don't like waste your life looking to spend 5 cents a gallon on gas. It's not worth it. The most evil people in the world have always been highly intelligent fools. They literally cannot see the forest for the trees. Wisdom is paramount. Once again, if you're not interested in transcendence, it's completely fine, but wisdom is incredibly important. It's the ability to understand the nature of something, its esse, or essence, being able to see the zeitgeist, having your knowing what's going on and being able to put things together, synthesize them spontaneously. And empirical knowledge never teaches that. It can't teach that by definition. It's just an endless regurgitation of facts. You could give someone a room or a factory floor full of all the parts to build $1 million Lamborghini, say $10 million Lamborghinis, but without knowing what to do, I mean, they're just kind of lay there. You don't know how to assemble. They don't know what to do with them. It's kind of like throwing pearls before swine. When I actually mention deep, abstruse things when people ask a question, they really have no interest in knowing. These are not people that are interested in understanding anything. Understanding is talking about foundational principles. When you talk about deep things, it doesn't have to be that deep. Their eyes roll back and they glaze. It's like that old song, Shove Me in the Shallow Water Before I Get Too Deep by Edie Brickell. That's the name of a song. Shove me in the shallow water before I get... I know a lot of people like that. So wisdom, number one. And it really is the most important. Here's something else that really almost nobody's taught, and that is discernment. Discernment. Everybody in life, at least 99.999%, have a motive. They have an angle on something. You need to be able to see through other people's lies and nonsense. You need to build skills in logical discernment. People engage in straw man fallacy. They'll engage, especially when I debate metaphysics, they'll engage in countless horrific fallacies, compositional fallacies. You have to have debate skills. You need to be able to see through people's ignorance. I mean, they don't have to necessarily be lying or deceitful. They're just flat out ignorant. They'll make connections where connections don't exist. And this is unfortunate. Most people are like that. I mean, they do teach debate and logic in certain colleges, but people regurgitate this. They don't make it part of their life. People in life that actually end up debating me, they always regret it. I mean, they always regret it. I've been debating stuff for, oh my gosh, things that nobody else on this earth knows more about than me, like anatta, via negativa. They're just the compositional fallacies, and people just lack discernment. So you need to be able to have discernment, be able to see people's motives, like you can weed them out immediately. What's this person angle? That's what detectives do. The best detectives, they, and one of the apophatic methodologies that detectives actually use, and talk about apophaticism, when they listen to criminals, you think they're listening to what the criminal's saying. They're hoping they're going to confess. Well, they are listening for that, but they're also listening to all the things that they avoid talking about. They'll talk about everything other than this. Yeah? And that says a lot. You listen to not only what is present, but what is not present. The same thing is true in photography. It doesn't matter so much as what you show as to what you don't show, because they both speak just as loudly. Like, well, it's black there. There's nothing there. Yeah, but that still says a lot about the photograph. The same thing is true of people, so you have to have discernment. Situational awareness is something people greatly lack. I jokingly call it having your head on a swivel. You need to be able to, and when it comes to people, and I don't do this, I wished I grew up learning this. I have failed at this, learning the stock market, be able to see trends. You can euphemistically say you have your head on a swivel. You're able to see what is going around, and you're able to see, by having wisdom and insight and having situational awareness. Is like standing on top of a tall tree. You can see what's coming off in the distance. You know how they have those lookout towers for fires, and they had lookout towers back in the Middle Ages to look for encroaching armies, and that is situational awareness. And people really don't have it. I mean, most people don't. You'll see them on their phone walk in the middle of a road and they nearly get run over, and the only reason they don't die is because other people, lay on the brakes. They're completely clueless. Situational awareness is insanely important. One good example is France, Paris, France, when Germany invaded, and Poland too. There were people that were denying it right up to the point that you could see the tanks rounding the corner. It's like, oh no, it's never going to happen. I think you're crazy. People that have their head on, and this is back in the day before, Facebook and the internet, people had situational awareness. They knew what was coming. They had their stuff packed and they were ready. They were already fleeing or about ready to flee. And the other people, no, it's never going to happen. It's like, oh my God. And when it hits, too late. People lack situational awareness. So that's number 3. So wisdom, discernment, situational awareness. And not necessarily in that order, but definitely wisdom, number 1. My last 2 are my favorite 2, other than wisdom, of course, is redundancy, number 4. If it's important to have, then you should have more than one of them and more one location. Redundancy is God, actually, is my phrase that I've been saying for decades. I wrote an article on data backup for Apple. You can Google my document that I wrote for Apple. It's called Methodology to Protect Your Data. And when I speak of redundancy, I'm not necessarily speaking about data, but certainly so. I've seen people lose decades worth of their life's work by having only one copy of something. 2 copies is 1 and 1 is equal to none. I mean, redundancy is God. I have a redundant home in case something happens to this one or the poop hits the fan. I have a cabin. I have places I can go and I have them set. Redundancy is God. I'll make a humorous thing. When I got really, really sick a couple years ago, someone sent me an episode of Rick and Morty, and the old scientist guy is essentially God, and he calls himself God. I think he called himself the Infinite Rick, because he has infinite redundancies. Like if he dies, there's a machine that injects his consciousness in a new body instantly in the basement. There's a machine in the basement that instantly replicates. So it doesn't matter how many times he dies or gets offed, a replica. So redundancy is God. It's kind of a humorous example. Last one is diversification. People lack diversification in their skills, their ability to do things. I mean, if you're a one-trick pony, that ain't good. Key example is that the photography world has imploded in the past year and a half, and you know why? There's no chips, there's no gear, the world has turned upside down, everything has gone tatas up, as the English say. I'm extremely diversified in a lot of different things, including sewing, do product photography. I spend a lot of time looking at raw land and consulting people on different things. I'm an author. People's like, you got 4 jobs? Well, I saw like, technically I got 5. You can't see it, but there's a $4,000 sewing machine over here. And there's a $3,000 sewing machine over there. There's a leather sander over here. I've got all sorts of tools and I can do things. I'm obviously not a lumberjack. I can't build a house. There's a lot of things that I wished I could do, but I mean, I could do a lot more than most people. I can't fix a car. I can fix and build bikes. I said I do writing and consulting on things. I'm just a simple person, but you need to have backup plans and backup plans to backup plans, and have skills. Prep a plan for yourself. And now, more than ever, diversification and having a backup plan is like if the poop hits the fan and you just like run around like a dog chasing its tail. I mean, that's not good. It's like you know what to do. When you make mental preparedness in your mind, you make yourself situationally aware of the diversification that you've already pre-planned, such that you're able to know what to do in emergency. This is how reason why pilots sit in those simulators and they scenario out every countless horrible situation over and over again up to a point. So when it does hit, they're not frantic and it's like, what do I do? What do I do? They know exactly what to do. So have diversifications in your life skills, the things that you know, the things that you could do. I mean, if you're a one-trick pony and that one trick is something nobody cares about anymore, or that thing dries up, then you need to have the skills to be able to spread out. Like portfolio diversification, like the wisest people in investment will tell you it's all about your portfolio diversification. You don't have all your eggs in one basket. Actually most people, they have all their eggs in one basket, and that's just not good. You need to have your eggs in many baskets. Not in bad baskets. You're just like, well, I have them diversified, but yeah, you got them diversified in a lot of places that are not good to have them diversified. So these are the things that I wish that I learned in an earlier life. So if you're a younger person, if you don't learn these 5, you're going to regret it. I can tell you flat out right now, even if you're an older person that hasn't learned these. Wisdom, discernment, everybody's got an angle. You need to be able to see through people's lies and nonsense. You need to learn logic and debate skills, so wisdom, discernment, situational awareness, which is applicable to everything, including your own self-preservation. Like those meerkats out in the desert, they stand up on their hind feet and they look around. Situational awareness. Redundancy is God, period. I don't mean literally God, okay? Redundancy is God. And lastly, of course, diversification. If you learn these 5 points, that will help you through 95%. 90, okay? Let's be pretty accurate here. 90% of your life. Those are applicable. Doesn't help with your love life. Well, actually it does. Wisdom would help you. And who am I to consult on love life? I was just thinking of things, that are outside the scope of this that you have to deal with, like family relationships, friends, siblings, your love life, whatever. But still, all of these are applicable in those. Some cases, of course, to a lesser degree, but if you learn those 5, your life will be a lot easier, and won't be caught off guard. Because if you're diversified and you have redundancy and situational awareness and discernment, and especially wisdom dominates over all 4 of those, then your life will be easier and better. All other things being equal, of course, So, thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely week. And shout out to all the Australians. Hugs to the horrible mess that's going on down in Australia. I watched that video that everybody should see. It's called SOS Australia. It's like a 5-minute video. It's really worth watching. I think I watched it 3 or 4 times. So, thank you. Goodbye.